Okay, so we've made the h squared minus 25. We had to add these. They cancel each other out. But when I write that final answer, right with my two sets of parentheses, like what's it going to be? What's across the top? H plus 5. And then what goes down the side? H minus 5. Okay? The next one has 4s squared, which we don't get to do that a lot. So that means 4 blues. And then it just says minus 1. So that's one little red. So what would I need to do to make this a square?
1 green and 1 red.
1 green and 1 red.
2 green.
Okay, add another one. 2 greens and 1 red. All right, they have to come in pairs. You knew that. And 1 wasn't enough, so we added some more. All right, so now to write this answer across, it's how many?
2h plus 1.
Plus 1. And then what's down the side? 2 again, right?
2h minus 1.
And then minus 1. Okay, so those two are pretty good to lay out with our towels. But look at that next one. 25. That means I would take 25 blues. So let's just try to figure out what's been happening. We've been making a perfect square, and we kind of already did 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how many would go across? 5 by 5, right? And then how do you make a perfect square with 16? 4 by 4, right? So we're just pretending there would have to be 5, right? And then there would be 4. And if you'll notice, every time it's been a plus and a minus. So this is going to be 5y plus 4 and then 5y minus 4. Okay? So I'm going to write it out better, but that's what it would look like. And so if we look at this, like the ones that we've done so far, we know that they're pretty much the same, right? Except one is plus and one is minus. Okay? Right? This is special cases. Something's going to happen every time. Then if we look at like the problem, how did they get from 25 to 5?
No.
But what else can you do instead of dividing? Can you get from 25 to 5? Or 16 to 4? Are you dividing by the same thing?
No.
No. So what else can you do? Here we went from 4 to 2.
Are you adding?
Here we went from 25 to 5. If I told you the number was 81, what would it probably be down here? 9. What are you doing?
Dividing.
Not dividing.
No.
Square root, okay? Okay, so what we're doing is we're square rooting both terms, and then one is plus and one is minus. So for this one, we're not even going to pretend to lay it out. 49 would become what? 7, and then x, and 25 becomes 5, and then one parenthesis is positive, and one is minus. Okay? Like these are special, like special stuff is going to happen. And this is actually on the formula chart. We'll get to that later, okay? Because if you saw it on the formula chart, you would know what it meant. This is what it says. That's what's on the formula chart. Okay, who even knows what that means? So, we're just going to work it out. I separated them. Like I made all these be the same and all the bottoms be the same. On iExcel, they're mixed up. So, that's one type of special case. Okay? I'm actually going to start with this one because it has like less stuff going on. So, p squared minus 2p plus 1, and everything today makes perfect squares. So, we know the yellow goes here, and then we happen to have these two, and they're just going to fall in right there. Yeah? Made a square. Right? How are we going to write this answer? What have we done? P?
P2 minus.
Just 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like the length and the width. P, and then how do we put this part?
Minus 1.
-1. And then down the side, what is it? P minus 1 again. What do we call it when something is timesing itself? Like, not the answer, but what's another way of writing 5 times 5? 5 squared, right? And so, since it's the exact same thing, we could write it as P minus 1 squared, and it wants you to do that. Okay? So at the top, 1 was plus and 1 was minus, and then here it's pretty much going to be the same thing, and you write it as squared. So this one would be if you had 4 blues, okay? So we'll kind of lay those out. And then 25 yellows. So how do you arrange 25? We've kind of already talked about that. 5 by 5. Okay, so that means it's going to be 5 across here. I know that's not how you put it, but 3, 4, 5. And then what makes these special is that they're the same both directions. So how am I going to write this one? 2c plus 5. And then it's also that down the side, so we're just going to call it squared. Okay, so I started with some that we could lay out, like we're not about to lay out 25 and 49. All right, let's think about how they got these answers from the problems. Where did the 2 come from the problem?
4.
From the 4, it's the square root, right? Where did the 5 come from? The 25, and it worked down here also. Remember there's a 1 there. So the square root of 1 is 1. Okay. This one was plus and this one was minus. So where from the problem might that come from? Like if you were just looking at the problem, how would you know if it was going to be plus or minus? Yeah, that sign right there is going to tell us the sign we need. Okay? So if I'm going to go down to these two, we're not even going to try to lay it out. Square root of 25, 5. That tells me it's, yeah, D, good job. That tells me it's minus, and then the square root of 1, 1. So that's that answer, 5D minus 1 squared. Okay? And then the last one, tell me what it's going to be.
7.
Q, or G, or whatever I got going on. Then what's the sign? Minus. What's the last number going to be? 3, right? You're square rooting both parts. And then it's squared. Okay? So you should be able to tell if you're doing a problem like the top or a problem like the bottom. This is AA6, and it's going to double. Just because it really never gets harder. Once you do it, you do it. There's quite a few questions on the test tomorrow about this.